All right, so I'm going to start a brand new chapter, chapter 4, which is titled Reproduction of Organisms. So we ended off with mitosis and the cell cycle, and then we went into levels of organization, how cells are the smallest and the organism is the final result. And so this chapter is going to focus in on sexual reproduction and how organisms create offspring and how we create sex cells. So today I'm just going to talk about chromosomes and the number of chromosomes in organisms. So I'm going to break up section 4.1 into two parts. So today I'm going to focus on chromosomes, and then tomorrow we'll focus in on meiosis, the process of creating sex cells and why that is important. So this chapter, reproduction of organisms, section 1, sexual reproduction and meiosis. So first off, what is sexual reproduction? Sexual reproduction is when you get two parents. Two parents have to be involved, okay? Two sex cells, one from mom, one from dad, and they combine and they form the offspring. So basically, you have these two genetic materials, the egg cell for humans, the sperm cell, in males, female, male, they meet and they form an offspring. So the female sex cell is called an egg, and that egg forms in the ovary, and the male sex cell is called sperm, and that forms in the testes. So these are the sex cells, and then these are the organs or the areas responsible for basically where those sex cells formed from. So when egg and sperm meet, okay, you get the process called fertilization. And at one point, this cell is just one cell. Sperm fuses with the egg, and now we call it a zygote. And that zygote's going to go through multiple rounds of mitosis to become a multicellular organism to form, us, an offspring. So this is different from asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction is just a parent, doesn't need another parent, it's just one parent, and it goes through a round of division, and it splits into two and makes clones. Sexual reproduction involves two parents, sperm, egg, meet. You get a mixture of both parents for that offspring. So with organisms, there are basically two kinds of cells in an organism: body cells and sex cells. And body cells, there's lots of examples. You have over 100 different types of tissues inside of you, but it's like muscle tissue, right? So you have muscle cells, nerve cells, heart cells, liver cells, eye cells, hair cells, the list goes on. But sex cells, it's just sperm and egg. And if you're male, it's just sperm. And if you're female, it's just egg. So body cells are diploid. That means that they have pairs of chromosomes. All body cells have 46 chromosomes in them. Sex cells have half the number, so we don't call them diploid. So diploid means they have the full set, they have pairs of chromosomes. If a zygote has too many or too few chromosomes, it may not develop properly. It might end up with a genetic disorder. And so we'll talk about that later on in this chapter. Now, different organisms have different numbers of chromosomes. Okay, so for example, fruit flies, they have 8 chromosomes. Rice, 24. Human is 46. Dog, 76. Fern, 1,260. The number of chromosomes has nothing to do with intelligence, just so you know. Just because a dog has more chromosomes than us doesn't mean it's smarter or anything. But just know that different organisms have different numbers of chromosomes. And so this number right here is the diploid number. So our diploid number is 46. So a full set of chromosomes in humans is 46. We can also denote it as 2n. 2n equals 46, right? But if our gametes, our sex cells, okay, if sperm and egg, if they had 46 chromosomes and they fused to form that zygote, geez, how many chromosomes would they end up with? So you would take, 46 plus 46, and that equals 92 chromosomes. Well, looking at this chart, 92 chromosomes, is that human? No, it's not, okay? 2n plus 2n equals 4n. Is that human, 2n? No, okay? So it's really important that our sex cells, also known as gametes, go through another round of division before they fuse together. And that's what meiosis is all about. Meiosis helps us maintain the correct number of chromosomes. All right, going back to diploids and their pairs. When chromosomes are paired up, we call it a homologous chromosome. And a homologous chromosome means that, maybe chromosome 1 from dad pairs up with chromosome 1 from mom. And when that happens, you end up with a homologous pair. So these are also homologous pairs after it's gone through rounds of division. So remember, mitosis, an X chromosome means that it's gone through the cell cycle, the S stage, it's replicated. But when they pair up, it just means that the genes, they carry the same genes, but maybe different forms of that genes. Maybe if your dad has brown hair, it's got, for the hair color gene, brown, and maybe mom's got blonde. So I might say blonde here, right? But it's the same gene, hair color. Okay, switching gears back to sex cells, also known as gametes. Sex cells are haploid. That means they only have one chromosome from each pair of the parent. So we talked about mitosis, how cells make daughter cells that are identical, right? You can see it's 2N and 2N. But in meiosis, what happens is a diploid cell divides and it makes 4 haploid cells. And these haploid cells, depending on the gender, might turn into sperm cells or might turn into egg cells. Okay, so that's all I'm going to cover in this first section. What I'd like you to do is read out of your book pages 117 to 119 and read haploid cells that stop at the phases of meiosis. So we're not going to go through meiosis today. That's going to be tomorrow's lecture. No assignment. We're just taking notes, getting ourselves situated, kind of catching our breath after a long holiday break, and getting back into the swing of things.